Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our mindfulness practice. Today's topic is the 9 attitudes of mindfulness, and we get to do my favorite. I mean, I don't know if it's my favorite or not, but I think it's just so crucial to the mindfulness practice is non-judging. Because non-judging is really at the heart of the entire experience, and one of the most mindfulness attitudes that are out there, because it just links so closely with meditation, which links so closely to our day-to-day, moment-to-moment experience of life. I watched a Zen priest talking about impermanence just yesterday a little bit, and I don't know, I guess it kind of primed me a little bit for this. Non-judging is really this part of the meditation experience, to try our best to see things as they are, to see our experience as it is without adding any flavor to it ourselves, because that's what we tend to do so much, is that it's not just the experience, it's the experience plus our commentary about the experience. And what we tend to find is that what causes us grief and pain, disappointment, suffering, isn't the experience itself as much as it is our commentary about the experience. And what's interesting about this as well is you'll find that your commentary about the experience doesn't come with your permission. That commentary just comes, and we can notice it. And that's what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. That's Jon Kabat-Zinn's definition of mindfulness. Paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. So he even puts the words non-judgmentally inside of the definition of mindfulness. So can we contact our own experience as it is, contact this experience in this moment, and notice the judgments that come up? You know, I think what people may tend to think of non-judging, when they hear non-judging, they're just thinking that that judgment of everything is wrong, and I need to not be judging, and I need to I need to stop all of my judging. And that's not what this is about. Non-judging isn't about stopping judging. It's about being aware of judgment. And I think the example that I like to use is that, judging is important. Judging is something that keeps us alive. If you want to cross the street and you see a bus coming across the road, it's important for you to judge this bus. It's a dangerous thing for you not to walk in front of the bus, right? So judging certainly has a place in our experience. But most of the time, the judging happens without us being aware of it whatsoever. So, is it possible to notice your judging without getting caught up in it? So with non-judging isn't about turning off our preferences. It's more or about becoming neutral about life. It doesn't mean that we just kind of become completely unattached. And I think that's something that we may mistake, is that judging is just kind of becoming this non-judgmental blob that just allows everything to happen and to be steamrolled by life. And that's certainly not what non-judging is about. What it does mean is seeing judgments clearly as they arise without letting them run the show. So the mind loves to label things, and it loves to, what you'll notice about thinking is that the one common thing in thinking is that almost always thinking has to do with our favorite topic, which is me. I love thinking about me. I love thinking about how, if it's not directly thinking about me, it's thinking about, well, how does this affect me? Do I like this? Is this good? Is this bad? Do I agree with this? How is this political opinion? And it starts to shape our actions. Oh, that political opinion is wrong. Let me say something to try to influence the political opinion of this person, right? And so we can see all of this judging is just going on constantly, and there's that common thread of I, me, and mine. Gosh, there's so much to talk about, and so many great little stories that are popping up. But I'm going to try my best to stick to this topic. You're not trying to remove the habit of judging. You're trying to watch it. This is really the key of what's going on, and a very good advice for the meditation practice, because that's what we're doing when we're meditating. We're watching our present moment experience. And what's amazing about this present moment experience is how much we can start to notice what our thinking is like and what happens when we think. What are the topics that we think about? Because as hard as you try to focus on your breath or focus on whatever the object of meditation is, you'll find that your mind doesn't really like being tethered to the object of meditation and would, in fact, prefer to be thinking about something else. And so this happens constantly. And as we notice our thinking, one of the most common threads that we'll find in our thinking is that there's a story that comes along with everything. So judging causes suffering, causes us to be uncomfortable, and we begin to stop meeting our experience directly and instead start meeting the story around it. So judgment narrows our perception. We only see things through the lens of judging instead of through this kind of objectivity. And it also tends to trigger emotional reactions as we start to observe these thoughts around our experience. So, some thoughts about judging, and you'll see that these tend to be thoughts, right? Something during meditation. This meditation isn't going well, right? That's a judging thought. I shouldn't feel this way. Another judging thought. That person should know better. Why am I still like this? Each one of these sentences that tend to pop up in our minds pulls us out of presence and brings us into resistance. So know that judging isn't something that's baked into you. That judging is a skill, or non-judging, I should say, is a skill that you can learn and master through practice. So you don't have to become a non-judgmental person. All you need to do is start recognizing judgment. And as you recognize your judgment, you begin to build that muscle of non-judging. When the moment of recognition arises, space begins to open. And then this inside of this gap becomes a choice, which I think those of you who have joined me regularly know that this is the time that I quote Victor Frankl, which is between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response, and in our response lies our growth and our freedom. So this non-judging is really the very first step, the very first piece of this having some control over what we do. I'll say it one more time. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response, and in our response lies our growth and our freedom. So we can create that space by beginning to observe our present moment experience. And so that's really what non-judging is about, is observing the experience, including the story, observing the story as well, seeing that story when it comes up. And I think this is a good moment to mention that thinking precedes almost everything else that we do. That before we take action, there almost always, and in fact, we may not have access to, I mean, that this is why between stimulus and response, there's a space. Through training that muscle, we gain a little bit more, space in there. So before action comes thinking. That almost always, and I guess this is why the meditation practice can be so helpful, is that through that distillation of our minds, through stillness and silence and paying attention to what's going on at any given moment, we start to be able to hear our thoughts more clearly, because we are trying to focus on the breath. And so when the thought comes up and the thoughts come up, the thought train comes up, and we start to notice all of these different thoughts showing up, we can start to be aware of what it is that's going on. And this is the other thing, right? Is to determine to be in stillness means that it's going to stay in the realm of the mind, and that it's not going to bleed out into speech or action. And so that's really what I'm getting at here, is that before every time you speak or every time you act, there is a preceding thought that comes up. And so, let's go back to that difficult political situation. Your friend says something that you don't agree with. And so you can, before speaking or before acting or before even making a face, right? You can start to notice internally what's happening to you, what's happening in the field of the emotions, what's happening in the field of the thoughts. And so with that information, decide with some wisdom what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do. Is what I want to say going to impact this situation the way that I hope that it would, right? Or is this more of the reinforcing the I, me, and mine? Am I saying this out of my pride? Am I doing this because I have a need to feel like I'm right, and I feel like I can't, I'm betraying myself if I don't say something right now in this moment, right? Instead of really thinking through this, what is the result? What do I anticipate the result of this is going to be? So, and again, you might go, wow, geez, all this stuff happens so quickly in my mind, and the reaction feels urgent and needs to happen. And so, one, let me ask you, really, is it as urgent as you think it is? Is it possible for you to pause for just 1 or 2 more seconds before you act? 1 or 2 more seconds is like an eternity in the realm of non-judging. There's so much that can happen to change inside of that space of 1 or 2 seconds. Thanks, Joanne, for being here. It's great to have you guys today here. I'm just going to have a quick look at the chat before I... Yeah, okay. So really, this is where the power in non-judging lies, is that this observation of the experience and seeing it, just seeing it as it's going on, and being aware and using what we learn to decide what it is that we're going to do. So the moment that recognition arrives, we have a small space in which to change our reaction. So we can choose to respond instead of reacting. So let me, before we get into the meditation, let me give you a couple examples. So, one, my mind is too busy, right? This is judgment. I should be better at this by now. Also judgment. So when we shift to awareness, it goes something more like, judging is here. This is the pattern of my busy mind. So when someone speaks sharply, we may instantly judge what's happening. invite curiosity instead. What else could be happening here? And there's a scenario that I'll just use quickly. Is like you're on the subway, or you're in public, you're waiting somewhere, you're at the grocery store, and this person comes and starts shouting at you and starts insulting you and saying all of these bad things about you. What does that feel like when that happens, right? Just imagine that for a moment. And then maybe 10 seconds later, and maybe you're ready to start taking action already in that moment. And maybe 10 seconds later, another person comes up and says, "Hey, I'm sorry, this is my brother. He has a mental problem. He has some mental condition, and this isn't, I'm really sorry that he's doing this right now," right? This completely shifts how you see that situation. And so you never know what's going on with the other person. Is this really about you, or is there a lot more to the situation? It was a couple years ago. I was in Yosemite, and I was parking my car to get some provisions for our place, and there was a lady with she had 4 kids, and I was just trying to back into the parking spot, and she was getting the kids out and trying to get them into the store. And as I got out of the car, or as I backed in a bit more, her kids were a little bit in my parking spot, and she just started shouting at me, and "Hey, can you wait? Why are you so eager to get into this parking spot?" And from my perspective, I thought that I was just going at just kind of doing a normal thing. Maybe I'm in Asia too long, and this is a normal way to park. I don't know. But as I went into the store with her and I saw what was going on with her kids, I realized, I'm like, this really, as much as I feel upset in that first moment, I realized this isn't about me. I just, this woman's having a really hard time. And when I see that she's having a really hard time, I can recognize that, hey, wait a minute, this isn't something for me to get mad about or me to yell at her about. This is the moment for compassion. This is a moment that I can go, hey, I wish her well. I hope things are going well for her, and I don't need to make her life any harder by reacting and saying something, to make this situation even worse. So what am I? I'm here to teach her a lesson. Hey, don't be rude to strangers, right? I just don't see that having any positive outcome. And so, that I think that non-judging and my meditation practice kind of gave me some wisdom in that moment, as much as I felt upset and as much as I thought it was justified for me to shout back at her. That this really helped to bring compassion. So, pain, let's just talk about pain, is that we feel physical pain, and we tend to go, this is bad, I hate this, I want this to be gone, go away, pain. And this story becomes part of our suffering. And objectively, we can observe pain more as tightness, heat, pulsing, something more than maybe this word pain that's charged, and that can help it to become workable. To look at this uncomfortable physical sensation that I have with a bit more objectivity than connecting to the story that has been around it for, if it's chronic pain, many, many years. So the process is this. Notice the judgment, name it. Judging, comparing, fixing, what is it? As best you can, soften into it with a breath perhaps, and then return to the experience. Breath, body, sound, whatever it is in the present moment. So, my course is linked here, which is the 9 Attitudes of Mindfulness. And this is the second lesson. The first lesson's an intro. The second lesson's about non-judging, just because non-judging is so critical. I'll just put my follow card up here as well. If you don't follow me on Insight Timer, do. do follow me and stick with some of my live events. We're going to go ahead and get into the meditation now. So get comfortable. And so the idea here is to be aware of judging. And just be aware of the thoughts. I mean, this is really the meat of the meditation. You know, the main thing is to see what happens to the mind as you try to still the mind. And remember that having a silent mind isn't, that's not the goal. Okay? Your mind may be silent, your mind may be super energetic and all over the place. It doesn't matter. Just leaning into whatever you are like today. That's the meditation. And you don't have to be, good at it. And if you find yourself trying to be good at it or having commentary about it, that's the meditation. Observe what your experience in this meditation is like. So observe the body. What does the face feel like? Is there tension in the face? What does the jaw feel like? If you find that your teeth are clenched against each other, see if you can just lower the jaw slightly so that the teeth aren't touching. The tongue gently resting on the palate behind the front teeth. Lips closed, breathing through the nose if you can. Now observing the shoulders. Is there tension in the neck or in the shoulders? Observing the back. What is your back feeling like right now? Observing the chest. Can you feel your chest rising and falling as you breathe? How about your belly? Can you feel your belly moving with the breath? And so let's see if we can keep our attention there at the belly. So just notice the belly as it rises and falls. As we inhale, the belly expands. As we exhale, the belly contracts. So this might be another moment for another one of the 9 attitudes in beginner's mind. How many times have you breathed in your lifetime? This breath is a new one. This breath is a fresh one. This breath has never happened before. Can you curiously observe the breath? So we don't need to have any commentary about it. We don't need to analyze it. We don't need to say, this breath tells me that I'm tense or whatever. Just see if you can observe the physical sensation of breath without any commentary around it. Don't let a single breath escape without your awareness of it. Or at least have the intention to try to keep every breath in your awareness. If you notice that you've missed one or two breaths, can you just notice it? Ah, distraction. Thinking. Now I can come back to monitoring the breath. And so as the mind wanders and we come back, sometimes there's frustration and you can see this emotion as it comes up. And one thing that also may be natural in this process is self-compassion. It's okay, no big deal if I got distracted. And by the way, everybody else is getting distracted too. So it's some easy way for us to link to the rest of humanity. We all have thoughts that are out of control. Some of us have practiced being more skillful at reaction while others haven't. Some of us start at different places. Some of us are already more in control of ourselves than others. It doesn't matter. Your doing this is already building progress on this path of self-mastery. So keep it up. Keep focusing on the breath as best you can. Keep it up. You're doing great. Only a couple more minutes to go. Okay, congratulations for making it through today's practice. I'll close practice with 3 rings of the bell. All right. Thank you for practicing with me. Thanks for being here for each other today. And how did it go? What was it like? And any questions or comments? This is just, I've got a couple questions. So, what judgment shows up most often for you? Yeah, this is one that you can respond to. Thanks, Gene. Thanks, everybody, for following along. What judgment shows up most often for you? What happens when you meet one judgment with kindness instead of resistance? Where can you practice noticing judgments today? So just kind of want to give you those prompts. You can write in the chat if you like, or you can just ponder these questions yourself. So here, I'll just put each of these here. Rachel says, I did find myself judging the few thoughts that arose. For me, critical arises the most. Thanks, Rachel. What did I found that because of jet lag, a lot of my family is already awake and making sounds and stuff. So I could find myself, worrying about the quality of the meditation for everybody that's here, like being like, oh, do you hear my 3-year-old screaming in the background or whatever it is. So that was what was kind of showing up for me more than anything. All right. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's good. That's what I thought. The mic's pretty good at catching just me. I think if you're wearing headphones and you have your volume turned all the way up, then you might hear some of that. So non-judging. I'm just going to put the course back up here. I'd say the key, the foundational piece of mindfulness meditation is this beginning to become more aware. And you'll find that you have multiple layers of you, and that there's an observing part of you back here, that can see everything that you're doing. And so it's just interesting to see, well, what am I? This is a question that starts to come up as we meditate more. what am I really? Am I my body? Am I my mind? So, thanks, Rosamund. Yes, you aren't meant to be empty of preferences or enthusiasms. That is really important to understand. Is that I think non-judging really, yeah, or Zen Buddhism, right? We go, oh, it's like I just gotta be like non-reactive to everything. Like I can't do anything because that's not what this is about. That's incorrect. It is about taking action in wise ways, and to be observant when we're feeling enthusiasm, right? Hooray! I'm feeling enthusiastic, and by the way, this feeling is impermanent, right? Like this feels great. I can bask in this greatness. Equanimity says, can I not get caught by this greatness? Can I recognize that this greatness is here for a time? And when it's time for the greatness to be gone, for me to be able to say goodbye with grace, So it's cool. It's okay to have preferences and enthusiasms and to like things and dislike things. The question is, can you recognize when that's happening for you? Thanks so much for that question, Rosamund. J.E. asks, do I tape these? And I do. I place them on a website that has lots and lots of videos. I won't say the name of that website, but it's probably pretty easy for you to find. My user ID is Ryan Grimes Mindful, just like it is here. So you should be able to find those. Thanks, Gene. Thank you so much, Gene. So I'll post that. Usually what I do is I'll post it about 24 hours after it's done. So I'll just do some minor edits and some, whatever, that kind of stuff. So feel free to check them out. And please do try my course. I've spent a lot of effort and time on making this course, and I think it's great, and I think you will too. So thanks so much again for being here today. Let's close our practice with some well wishes for ourselves and well wishes for everybody else. Thanks, Rosamund. I don't know what's going on, and I think it might take a few moments for me to get him. So you know what? This is the perfect reason for you to come back in 47 hours. Is for you to see if you're going to catch a glimpse of Frank. So that's the tease. All right. Follow along with me if you like. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching, listening, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. And may all sentient life, all beings, near and far, big and small, may we all be happy and peaceful. Thanks again, everybody. Have a lovely day or evening. I'll see you for our next attitude in about 47 hours. So do take care. I hope you'll come back. Until then, bye-bye.